All right, welcome back. And so here's something really weird. What if I was looking to do something where I'm standing on 4 and I have a height of 6, and I do some manipulation where I place and try to sit this guy 1 over 1 up, 2 over 4 up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 over 1 up, 2 over 4 up. There's my points. And I try to make a graph of a parabola. Oops, it's not perfect. And I want to balance it on my head. And I want to get the equation. Okay, you're thinking, well, what do you do? Let me just zoom out a little bit. Doom, doom. Okay, so there's the problem to consider right down there. We have the equation. Well, we're going to need to build it from the idea that the vertical values of y come from the x. All right, so we can say, we know that I already made that parabola shape, so y equals x squared. That's a starting point that we have to build. Okay, now what we want to be able to do is play and figure out how do you get it so that that 0 spot, or the behavior of 0, is there at that point 4 and 6. Let me just... This is the point 4, 6, which should be 0, 0. The idea is that we took it from here and we moved it. Okay. So one of the ways I would say is that, okay, we're going to move it. One thing you can start by doing is making how would you behave and make the current graph become a 0. It's kind of counterintuitive. I would say that what you want to look at is if you said, well, what happens if I choose a minus something, like 2, and square it, and what do you get? Well, when you have 2, when x equals 2, 2 minus 2 squared, the whole thing becomes 0. Whoa. But what if x equals minus 2? That would become minus 2 squared, and that would be minus 2 minus 2. You need to note your integers. That would be minus 4 squared, and that would produce 16. So if I pick the number of 2, just sort of subtract 2, I see that when we put x equals 2, it becomes 0. But if I go with the negative, that becomes negative 2 minus 2, 16. That's not a 0. So that's not going to work. All I'm looking at first and foremost is the idea of moving the thing left or right first. Okay. Now, what you're going to get is that when you see a subtraction, so let's go and take the idea we got here, y equals x minus 4 squared. Where will the y values be? Well, if you pick x equals 4, you get 4, take away 4, squared. That's 0 squared. So that would, in fact, be, let me just now zoom out substantially here. Bam, 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 bam. If I wanted to copy and paste another one of these in here, let's see if we can do it. Yoop. Yes or no? I don't know. Maybe it's too small. Oh, there it is. Yay. Okay. So what did I just do? Well, I just created the equation y equals x minus 4 squared. I just tested when x equals 4 over here, the graph is at 0. That means it will produce the shape here. So this will move it to the right. If I choose y equals, let me just change colors because you know what? It might get confusing if I don't. If I choose y equals x plus 4 squared, well, the thing that will make it a 0 is this number here, -4. Because when -4 adds to 4, that will make it 0 squared. They will cancel each other out. That will give me 0, and that will make the graph start right here. So this -4 will move to the right, +4 moves it to the left. Okay, so that's one way to start the problem. Now we want to get to the idea, back to our real problem here. We're halfway there, and the fact that we want this thing to move to the right, but now we want to go up. Okay, so oops. So far, we've got this equation whereby it's clearly doing y equals x take away 4 squared. We know that's going to sit on the graph on the bottom. Now we got to figure out how to move this thing up. What we need to do is the following. Are you ready? These are y values. This whole thing is a y value all together here. We want to take our y value at 0, where we were, and then add 6. So what our equation will look like is x minus 4 squared, then add 6. What this is going to do, this is going to move the graph this way we just saw, and then outside that bracket, these are all y values here, outside that will then move the graph this way. This is the first key point to understand how do you move that graph. Now when we did the activity, you were playing with moving the peak of the graph with the hoop. So you should kind of see where this format works, where you can see where the center of the graph, you guys were working with upside down graphs. This is the natural starting point, but in a context, the natural height of the graph and where it starts, the peak, will be found here. And the y value, the height of it itself, will be found here. So that is it for this introduction about how do you move the graph left and right and up or down. We showcased that when we move it with a subtraction sign, the graph will move to the right. If we add values outside this little square, it will move up. So logically, if we had something like x, I'm losing my mouse, it's not very pretty here, x plus 4 squared, the graph is going to go that way. If we have like a minus something, like a, back. I just naturally go looking at the positive. If we go minus, like a 5, it will go down. That would be the introduction. Now we're going to work on the application stuff.